For number 16, making the doors, I've already made one up here to save some time, but I'll go through the process of starting this. Now for 3 of the homes, they are rectangular in shape. For the Santa Barbara, we have an arch door, and I'd like for you to make an arch door there. But for the 3 homes, as I said, for the rectangular shape, and really for all of them, you will start by zooming in on one opening and going to the rectangle command. And you don't want to edit this, so just make a rectangle over the opening, double pick it, right click, and make that a group. Now since each door is going to be different, we make it a group rather than a component, like we did the windows, since those are all the same. So once it's on there, again, it's not a good idea to be designing and creating the door in place. Remember that you make the opening, you order the door is delivered and then installed. So we're going to move this off to one side. And for this one, I'm just going to move it above here, back out and pan a little bit, and just place it up here someplace. Okay. Now, we have the other 2 doors, so if you want at this time, just make a couple copies and just place it above, similar to that, and then over here as well. So if you zoom in on this one, or rather if I zoom in, you can tell that it has some thickness here, and if you look around, it has some of these raised beveled panels. Okay, and I'll show you how to do those. And for the Cape Cod, I just chose a more traditional style of a Cape Cod than maybe what's on your instructions or assignment, and you have liberty to do that. So let's go back to this one over here, and I'll show you how to start this. So for this one, it's the arch door, and I'll come back to that in just a little bit. So for these other ones, what I'm going to do is to immediately edit that, right click on the surface, and reverse faces. Okay, so I just clicked out of it, but we really have to work inside that editing mode, so I'm going to get back in it, double pick it, or if you are more comfortable with picking it, right click and edit group, either way. So for the main parts of the door, the stiles and the rails here, we want to again go to the offset and pick on the perimeter, and then for this one here, you can just kind of look in the lower right hand corner and see what the distance is. That's 2 inches. And for our scale of homes, since these are really small or tiny, maybe 2 inches is good, maybe 2.5 or so, something like that. I wouldn't go beyond 3 inches for the main offset of this first part. So let's just put 2.5 inches. How about that? Now, if we are working on details, we really don't need to be looking out here or out here. So zoom in a little closer, orbit, pan if you need to. Okay, you can all be squared up by using the front. Oops, but it's looking at this down here as well, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to go back to this and just be satisfied with that. So the design is really up to you, but it should reflect the style of the house. So if you want to do a quick Google search on Santa Barbara style doors, Cape Cod doors, that's a good idea. But for kind of the basic outline here, we want to have a main frame, and then inside here you can add anything you wish by some lines, offset lines again, like we did for the window, just on a little bigger scale. So if I want to go just a little bit more like that, and for the, let's say we want some panels in here, some vertical panels. If we get a little closer and we select that line, we can right click and divide. Now you'll get these little grips, these red grips, and I'm not holding my finger down on the mouse, I'm just moving the mouse left and right. So when I go left, you can see that now there are 2 equal segments. If I move to the right, now there are 4, and I can keep on going 5, 6, all the way to, 36 maybe in 100 segments. Wow. So you don't want that. So let's say we just want maybe something like that. Okay, and I'll show you where we're going with this. So I'm going to pick there. Now, there are 5 equal segments here, I think, and it looks like it's one continuous line, but it's not. If you go to the line command, and you start kind of moving your mouse like this to the first endpoint, you can pick there and go all the way up to there, and then again, each endpoint that you find, you're going to go all the way up to that line there, and pick there and go up, and pick there and go up. So right away, we have created a door with a frame and a little inside frame and these panels. Okay, so you can also offset these panels if you wish. Oh, I got out of my editing mode here. So I don't remember if I was in the editing mode. So it happens to me as well. So I'm going to check. I'm going to edit this. And then if I pick that, okay, I'm good. So don't forget, if you're outside it like this and you start drawing a line, for instance, from here to here, not only will it look darker, okay, you see how darker it is compared to this other line? That kind of indicates that something's not right. So if I select this, right click and hide that, you see that line was not a part of the group. So good lesson here is to make sure that you are inside the group, inside the editing mode, in order to draw the lines. Okay, so I'm going to edit this again. And what I was going to show you is to make some more panels here. You can do whatever you want, but in the future, you really don't want to just design the door with the lines. What I mean by that is you don't want to leave the lines as the design, because later on if you go to render something, all black lines disappear. So I'm going to quickly show you what happens or how it will look if we render this. All your details will disappear. You see that? That's the way your door is going to look if you leave your lines as your design. So in other words, we need to have depth to this or thickness. So your instructions have you push-pull this maybe an inch out as the total thickness of the door. And this little inside frame, we're just kind of giving it detail. So maybe half an inch, 0.5, enter. So right away, it looks much better. Okay. So as I said, all these lines here might disappear. And so what you want to do is maybe to offset those a little bit like that. And I'm just going to maybe do half an inch, 0.5, enter. And then I'm going to come over here again, 0.5, again, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Okay. So again, there we go. We gave it a little bit more detail. And get a little closer. Do the push-pull thing. And for these, you can maybe pull them out a little bit more. Okay, or let me show you what you can do. You can move these panels and give this a bevel. So we really are not set up that way, but it's going to look a little odd here in the middle. But let me just show you on making bevels. So if you go to the Move command and select this panel here, the surface, And you might not be able to do it with your mouse just moving around because we need to become forward, not in the red axis direction, but we need the green. So tap your left arrow button and then you can move it. So you can start to see it makes a panel. So I would just maybe slightly bring it out, maybe 1/4 of an inch, 0.25. Enter. Okay, do the same for here. Pick it, tap the left arrow, bring it towards you, 0.25. Okay, so again, pick it, tap the left arrow, and then you can come over to here. I think that'll work like that. And then do this, and then come out to here, pick it like that, pick this, tap the arrow, come over here, pick that. Now I pick over here because it's the same plane as I want this one to be, okay? So now, if I orbit a little bit, you can see right here that these are bevels. Okay? And that's what you see in a lot of different styles of door. So if you want to give it detail like that, I think you should. Now if you noticed over here, when I orbit, there's some extra lines here. So I'm going to come over here and get real close to those and erase those. It's a good idea just to eliminate those, make sure that everything is nice and clean. Looking on this side, all right. And I'm going to look at the bottom to see if that happened because I don't, oh yeah, there they are. All right, so let's get rid of those. Like that. Okay, so there's our door. There's our nice door for our Mexican colonial house. And you've got detail, and you've got depth and thickness. And we're not going to be looking from inside out, so don't worry about this back side. We're just going to photograph this from the front. So once that's finished, you double pick out here, and then you can go on to the next door. All right? In the next video, we'll show how to install the door, and especially the arch door here. So this is running a little long, and I will have another video on making this arch door.